Now we are in Leviticus chapter 4, and chapter 4 is talking about regulations about sin offering. And this sin offering, it is outlined that if a priest commits sin, he has to sacrifice a bull, and they explain how you have to go about doing the sacrifice. So let's read and see. If the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, he must bring to the Lord a young bull without defect as a sin offering for the sin he has committed. He is to present the bull at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord. He is to lay his hand on the head and slaughter it before the Lord. Then the anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and carry it into the tent of meeting. He is to dip his finger into the blood and sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain of the sanctuary. The priest shall then put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of the fragrant incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. The rest of the bull's blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of the burnt offering at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He shall remove all the fat from the bull, including the fat that covers the inner parts, just as the fat is removed from the ox sacrificed as his fellowship offering. Then the priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering. But the hide the hide of the bull and all its flesh, as well as the head and legs, the inner parts, and offal, that is all the rest of the bull, he must take outside the camp to a place ceremonially clean, where the ashes are thrown, and burnt it in a wood fire on the ash heap. So here now they are talking about the sin committed by a priest, how he should go about doing the sacrifice. He uses a bull, and he must place his hand on the head of the bull and slaughter it. And the blood should be, he dip his hands into the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord. And the remaining blood he will put it on the horns on the altar before the tent of meeting. So if this blood is taken and all the inner of the animal, it should taken away outside the camp. He must take outside the camp to a place ceremonially clean, where the ashes are thrown, and burn it in a wood of fire on the ash heap. So that is how the priests do their own atonement for their sin. And then they said the second part again, if the whole Israelite community sins unintentionally. So this is something that is done unintentional, even for the priest too. It is an unintentional sin. Something that you do without your intent, you planning it, that I must do this. Maybe you did it out of ignorance or accidentally. That is how they go about. The same way the community does that. The elders will produce the animal, they slaughter it the same way in front of the tent of meeting, and then it is burnt. But this one for the sin is not burnt on the altar. It is taken somewhere, set aside ceremonially. They say when a leader sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the commands of the Lord his God, he is guilty. So just imagine, if a leader sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the commands of the Lord their God, he is guilty. Wow. But here, if a priest does an unintentional sin, they, do this sin offering to make atonement for them. The same way, if the community sins unintentionally, if the whole community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the law's commands, even though the community is unaware of the matter, they are guilty. Wow. So even if you are unaware, but as long as it is a forbidden thing you did unintentionally, you are still guilty. So you have to make atonement for your sin. So I don't know for the elders. Let's read chapter 4 verse 1 again. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, when anyone sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, if the anointed priest sins, bringing guilt on the people, he must bring to the Lord a young bull without defect. And here it is not clearly if a priest sins unintentionally, he has guilt. But he is saying he should bring a young bull and do the ceremony of sacrifice. But here again, it says in verse 13, if the community of the Israelites sins unintentionally and does things that are forbidden, they are guilty. And in verse 22, it says, when a leader sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the commands of the Lord, his God, he is guilty. So it's like when we say ignorance of the law is no excuse. So even if you sin unintentionally, as long as it is something that is forbidden, you are guilty. So when he is made aware of the sin he committed, he must bring as his offering a male goat. That is the leader. A male goat without defect. He is to lay his hand on the goat's head and slaughter it at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. And in verse 27, if a member of the community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, he is guilty. So it's only the priest that they say if he sins unintentionally, it is not stated that he is guilty, but he has to make atonement with a bull sacrifice offering as a sin offering. But if the community do sin unintentionally, they are guilty. An elder sins unintentionally, they are guilty. And a member of a community sins unintentionally, they are guilty. So they all make atonement by sacrificing an animal, bringing it to the tent of meeting, and the animal slaughtered. Their hands should be on the head of the animal and do the remaining sacrifices and the rest of it. So it was really, 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 really a hard and difficult thing dealing with the laws of the Lord. So that was the end of chapter 4, and we'll continue the next chapters in the next video. So please, when you come across, comment, like, and share. Share your ideas. What are your thoughts about these sins and their sacrifices and their atonements made for God to forgive them?